You ever get the feeling that the world is getting smaller and smaller every day? We're sharing the same memes, watching the same movies, even eating the same food across entire continents. But then, at the exact same time, it can feel like the gaps between us are getting wider than ever. That's the huge paradox of our time, and that's what we're going to unpack right now.
So what's the real story here? Are we all just slowly blending into one big global culture? Or are we actually quietly drifting further apart? Well, the answer, and this might surprise you, is it's both. And understanding how that's even possible is the key to making sense of our world today.
To really get our heads around this, we need to know two big ideas. On one side, you have cultural convergence. That's basically when different cultures start to look, feel, and act more alike. And on the other side, you've got its total opposite, cultural divergence. That's when cultures become more unique or even split off completely. Think of them like these two massive forces in a constant tug-of-war, shaping everything.
Okay, let's start with the one we see and feel every single day, the Great Convergence. This is the whole shrinking planet idea, right? The story of the so-called global village.
So what's actually pulling us all together? Well, it's this really powerful mix of things. Globalization is a huge one. We're trading and traveling more than ever. Then there's technology. The internet can make an idea circle the globe in a heartbeat. We're all watching the same shows and listening to the same music. And, of course, people are moving all over the world, bringing their incredible cultures right to our doorsteps. It really is the perfect recipe for a connected world. And you see this convergence everywhere, especially when it comes to food. Think about it. 100 years ago, the idea of getting sushi in Dubai was just insane. Now, it's as normal as grabbing pizza in Tokyo or finding tacos in London. This is so much more than just what's for dinner. It's a literal taste of how our cultures are mixing and mingling.
And the same exact thing is happening with our entertainment. And this isn't some one-way street where one culture dominates everything. It's a genuine creative exchange. The amazing energy and storytelling of India's Bollywood has had a huge influence on Nigeria's film industry, Nollywood. Or think about how Japanese horror completely changed the game for American scary movies. We're all borrowing from each other, remixing ideas, and creating something new.
And technology has just thrown this whole process into hyperdrive. Seriously, just think about it for a second. A dance, a meme, a song, a single TikTok trend can start in Seoul, get picked up in São Paulo, and become a worldwide thing in less than a day. That level of cultural sharing is something that was just totally unimaginable even a generation ago.
So the case for convergence is really, really strong. It feels like we're all kind of heading in the same direction. But, and this is a big but, just when you think you've got the story figured out, there's a huge plot twist. We have to talk about the other side of the coin, the unseen divide and the forces that are pulling us apart.
So is this picture of a happy, blended global village the whole story? Not even close. Because while we're coming together in some really obvious ways, we're also pulling apart in others. And sometimes it's completely intentional. And this is where that second idea, cultural divergence, steps in. This is the force that pulls us apart, that makes groups more distinct from each other over time. It might be a slow drift, or it could be a really sudden split. But the end result is always the same. More difference, not less. And what's driving this separation? Well, these forces are just as powerful as the ones pulling us together. Things like geography, mountains, deserts can keep communities isolated for centuries. Political ideologies can create invisible walls that are just as real as physical ones. And of course, deeply held social or religious beliefs can lead a group to say, you know what, we're drawing a line. A perfect example of this is the Amish community. They live right alongside modern American society, but they make a very conscious, deliberate choice to diverge. By holding onto a lifestyle from the 19th century, without modern cars, without electricity from the grid, they're actively preserving their unique values and protecting their culture from the influence of the outside world. It's divergence by choice.
And for a really powerful, really modern example, all you have to do is look at the Korean Peninsula. After World War II, you had one people with one language and one shared history, and they were split in two. Fast forward to today, and they're literally worlds apart. You got a totalitarian state versus a vibrant democracy. State-controlled media versus totally open global access. A society built around the collective versus one built on the individual. It's just a crystal clear, stark reminder of how powerful politics can be in driving cultures apart.
So this brings us to a really fascinating modern paradox, something that kind of challenges what a lot of us just assume about the world. We tend to think that as countries get richer and more developed, they'll all start to become more similar. But what if the exact opposite is true?
This is where it gets really mind-bending. Some recent research pretty much turns our assumptions upside down. It suggests that as the world gets richer, our core values are actually diverging. They're moving further apart. I know, it sounds weird, right? How could more wealth possibly lead to more division?
Well, this chart kind of shows the two different paths it can take. In many high-income countries, having more wealth and security leads to a bigger focus on things like individual rights, self-expression, and tolerance. But in other parts of the world, that very same economic growth allows societies to double down on and reinforce their more traditional values, like community and collective identity. So it seems we're not all using wealth to become more like each other. We're using it to become more of who we already are.
So what we have are these two gigantic forces, convergence and divergence, pulling our world in opposite directions at the very same time. And look, this isn't just some academic thought experiment. Understanding this contradiction is absolutely crucial for navigating the world we're living in right now.
So what does this all mean for us? Well, on one hand, this constant push and pull is what preserves the incredible diversity of our world. All the languages, the art, the traditions that make humanity so interesting. That's a good thing. But the flip side is that it also creates friction. It can lead to misunderstandings and sometimes even conflict. And maybe the most important lesson is for tackling our biggest global challenges, like sustainability. It's a huge reminder that there are no one-size-fits-all solutions. We have to work with our differences, not pretend they don't exist.
And that brings us right back to where we started. We are more connected than ever before, yet our local identities, our cultures, remain fiercely important to us. So I'll leave you with this to think about. In our global village, in our connected world, which differences are the ones that are truly worth fighting to keep?